What is going on? Dandy Crew, DandyDrew here, and we are back for seems like you guys enjoyed it quite a bit, the next episode of Dandy After Dark. This will be episode 3. I'm excited. Let's look at the board really quick, because this looks like a great board for third. I think some obvious spots here, 693. You know I have to say that spot first. But it actually is a really good spot here. I think this is an acceptable spot for first or second. 8, 5, 10 makes a lot of sense. It is a kind of a very flexible or reach sheep. And then kind of difficult here for third and fourth. It kind of looks like a lot of interesting clump spots. And also this wood pile. Maybe there's an argument to be made that we can kind of work off of that, or we can work off of this 10, 5, 9. And we've got a lot of flexibility with this. It's 3 unique resources. We could play off of the 9 ore on top of that. Also, I'm seeing this very fun 9, 10, 2, maybe potentially the 6, 2 playing off the sheep port, though we're going to have to find how we work that in best. I think intuitively getting the best ore if the 6, 9, 3 goes makes a lot of sense. As you guys know, the format of this is you've submitted questions in the past. I have a list of them. I'm trying to get through them, so I'm going to do my best. Be patient if your question was not in the previous episodes, because it might be in this one. Whoa! Well, folks, what can I say? I'm a sucker for 693. Let's do it. I think it's pretty good here, and we're going to point left. All right, so we got what we wanted. Not too bad. First question comes from Connor Loki. 107 says, can you elaborate on when you talk about pacing? It seems like you talk a lot about that, especially when you're saying someone is pacing too quickly. But what would you rather do in those spots when you get a perfect hand or trade to make a city, for instance? Connor, thank you for the question. I really appreciate you and showing up here. Pacing is a difficult concept because really so much about pacing depends on the table, depends on the players. It's a really it depends situation. If I'm playing extremely competitive table, that's going to be a lot different than if I'm playing, let's say, an unranked game, or if I'm playing against new players, right? So that's the first thing to notice is who are the players you're playing with and kind of understand some of the tolerances with that. Typically, I would say generally when I'm playing against really strong players, I'm a lot more conscious about pacing because they're a lot more skilled to be able to work together to punish me for that. But if I'm playing against less coordinated players, less skilled players, I'm willing to take more risk, drop that early city, just get further ahead because I think their ability to work together to take me out is much less, if that makes sense, right? I think that's probably the biggest thing is to understand who's your opponents. Generally, I think the biggest part of the pacing equation usually comes into building cities, I find, because a lot of times that first city is going to seem extremely strong, extremely menacing. I always kind of ask my question, if I have the option to say, let's buy 2 development cards or drop a city, you should at least be asking the question, is that something I should be doing? Okay, what do we have here? Okay, looks to me like we've been put into a difficult situation, and kudos to Black, I quite like this idea. I think getting to the 9, 12 is pretty smart. Also, we could play off the brick port. That's pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie with you. It does give us 4 resources, and I think the brick port's pretty strong here. The other option is we take something like the 9, 10, 11, but then, yeah, I guess we get the sheep. But I think, honestly, getting the 11 is pretty good here, and once we get onto the brick port, all this brick becomes extremely flexible. So, on paper, this seems like a very strong setup to me. Also, the wheat port's not bad. 6, 11, 4. Let's put in our answer, make it happen. So Connor, what I would say to you is don't worry about pacing too much. I think a lot of times if you can get a city, in most cases, I would take it. Start to challenge yourself if you're playing in leagues or try to play in some tournaments and try to experiment and be a little bit more conscious in that situation. So thank you for the question. Itioic Ginger 9520 says, I've always wondered why the names of the resources were chosen because officially it's ore, grain, wool, lumber, and brick. But the community says ore, wheat, sheep, wood, and brick. At the end of the day, we're not even technically playing on the official Catan website. So I guess a lot of things are up for interpretation. I think the only thing I would want to do is I would ask, can we change wheat into gluten? I think that would just be funny. I'd be more amused than anything else. Other than that, you can call these resources whatever you want. And then while I'm looking at this, guys, we might maybe lose the 8-3 here. This is not a horrible spot here. Alternatively, I suppose what they could take is, what else would they take here? Like 8-3 up could be a play, and it does end up killing our 3-1 port. Ginger 52 9520. Thank you for the question. Yeah, I'm not sure. Call the resources whatever you want. I would say 95% of the time I understand what you're trying to say, and to me that's functionally more important. ufhcs says, "Hi DandyDrew. Let me say thank you for the quality videos you are producing. I have a more technical question. How do you memorize what cards others have? Do you have any tricks to do so? Thanks a lot." ufhcs, there's always tricks of the trade, you know? The best way, and I think I've mentioned this in a previous video, was to take in a progressive approach where instead of trying to memorize every card in everybody's hand, maybe start with one hand and one card. What you can do as you get better and better at the skill is to progressively, unfortunate, but it is what it is. Yeah, let's take this trade. We have a lot of brick. We have no wood, so we can afford to do that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go for the brick port. And hopefully this actually puts a little bit of pressure under black here because his game really, really requires getting the wood port. So hopefully a lot of the robs from black will go to red, and that will give us a little bit of an advantage. Yeah, so progressive tracking, pretty important here. So for instance, like, let's take a look at, ooh, nice. Instead of me worrying about what's everybody's hand, I'll just look at one hand. I'll say, okay, in purple's hand, what does he have, right? He's got 2 ore, he's got 2 brick, and a sheep, and I think a wheat. That's his hand. Now, I could do that exercise, or I could just focus on his hand, or maybe I'll just say how many ore does he have, and I'll track that he has 2 ore, he has 1 ore, and he has no ore, right? So start progressively. Either start with one hand or one resource, and then what you can do is you can start to ramp it up as you get better and better at the game. Yeah, take your time with it. It's not something that you're going to learn overnight. It could definitely help you. All right, see this tension here? Red and black are trying to hurt each other. Oof, we'll see how that works out for them. All right, so let's see if we can get a wood here. A wood would be really good for us. Don't know if we will. I mean, who would give it to us? Potentially red? No worries. Got to be careful too. The 9 is a very dangerous roll for us because it also does give purple the coordinated 9s. So that's something I'm conscious about. It's a roll we need, but it's also a roll that really benefits purple in this situation. ufhcs, thank you for your question. I appreciate you. All right, monstereugene says, "My biggest issue is picking spots, especially in the 4th position. I know every board is better for different positions, but in 4th, I really struggle looking for any solutions." Looking for any solutions, huh? What is this? I'm going to get 2 cards here. You know what? I mean, I've done a lot of videos here. Oh, that's good. That's good. It's unfortunate it puts black out, but I think it does also put us 1 roll from a city. Black's probably not going to be happy about that, unfortunately, but it's just a good situation for us. And also, it does pace red very strongly. So at this point, we should be seeing something like the 8 block go on red here. That makes him very strong. It's a very good. Yep. I've made a video recently, probably about a week or so ago, about how to place like a pro, right? Or how the pros place. And honestly, I don't deviate that much from that particular curriculum. I think it's important to focus on high production, flexibility. And then the second part of that equation, I think, is having a plan. So that means understanding what kind of setup you're playing for, what are your objectives. Honestly, I don't think a lot of players do that. Okay, we're going to go get a knight here. Good hand management. I think there was just too many rolls that put us over, including the 6. And we'll get ore. No problem there. So I would focus on a little bit more as you're playing on the aspect of understanding what are your plans, right? So as an example, look at this setup. I know for a fact I've got a settle I'm going to go for here. I'm going to go for the wheat port settle. That's 4 points. City. That is 6 points. Go for army. And now I have to figure out how I get my other 2 points. I am going to probably get at least 1 VP. Then I have to find 1 more point. So right there is a plan, right? Settle, city, army, and then pull a VP, maybe 2 VPs. Oh, nice. Very nice. So what I would say to you, don't worry about trying to get the perfect settle. Wow. That is what we call wasting a mono there, folks. Absolutely wasting a mono, but that's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to port and we are going to put this here. Then we will put that here on him. Perfect. I think that was just too much there. Too much from purple. I think to waste your cards like that is not very good. We'll do what we can here. We can also do brick or sheep. not the world's worst deal. But yeah, find plans, find things to make your position work, and hopefully that should get you where you need to go, my man. All right, next question. Thank you for that, Monster. Raymond says, hello, you think 2v2 could be interesting, not overthinking. Nice, God, looks like we got a city. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, mono my weed again. Waste your cards, baby. Not overthinking how it would work with roles. 2v2 Catan's interesting. I've played a few 2v2 games. I've played some tournament before. I don't think the game flows as well, in my opinion, but I think there's a lot of room for fun variants like 2v2. I am completely down to experiment as a community, but frankly, I just don't think from a competitive standpoint and the way variance works in Catan, I'm not really that crazy about it. Hey, give it a try. If you like it, then screw it. Go for it, right? Raymond, thank you for the question. All right, Robert Smith says, just general philosophy regarding pacing. You talk about it a lot, controlling, like pacing out of control and stuff, but you haven't really explained when to pace quickly and when to pace slowly. There was a question about this, I think the first question from Connor. I promise you, I have a note on this. I want to do a video specifically about pacing. I haven't got to it yet. By the way, we're going to see if we can do a brick here, brick for wood. With homie here, I think it's a pretty decent deal. Don't tell me he's going to mono brick. By the way, if we get this brick port, we are absolutely cooking here. This is a decent deal for us. Maybe we can get 2. I don't think he has 2 though. Shouldn't do this deal. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this because then the 6 gives us the settle. And I think the only thing he has here is to just drop 1 road. Okay, so let's see if we can get a wood here. And the only concern here is that a 6 does put us over because it will give us 8 cards, but blah, whatever. Yeah, I'll talk about pacing more. Look at Black go. I love this, man. I mean, it sucks. Unfortunately, the bot is here, but it is what it is. Let's see if we can get a brick for sheep. Man, oh man. So yeah, as far as pacing is concerned, again, I kind of mentioned some things about that. I would recommend for most people not to put too much emphasis on it. I actually think if you're learning, it's better to play aggressive because a lot of times, especially against new players, they're not going to be able to handle that aggression and it's going to usually pay off. But of course, you're going to have to learn at some point how to deal with that. All right. So Robert, thank you for the question. I have made a note about this. I do think it's important to highlight some of the features of good pacing. It will definitely be done in a future video. That I promise you. We need to survive here. Bro's taking his time here on these turns. What is that? Okay, so we're definitely settling. Yes. Yes. That is a ridiculous turn for us, guys. Really good. Nice. So we got another development card in our hand. And I have to assume there's a very good shot here that purple probably has a knight now because they pulled a non-knight, but pulling another dev probably is a knight. There's a good shot that it is. This is okay. We've no knight, huh? Wow. Okay, what does he block? G Star Sign 4805 says, by far best Catan player on YouTube. Smart, but also humble and nice. Man, I am the most humblest and nicest person, aren't I? Damn. Like your thoughts on many spots. Dandy, Dav, Dylan are my favorite players on Twitch. Any others either... Oh, don't say that, man. Okay, so you're more or less just saying you appreciate the content. I appreciate that. And look, I think there's a lot of... I just realized I should have played a Nightski here. We've got to put it on our boy, and we're going to pop again here. I appreciate the love, man. There's so many great creators, and really, to me, the community is just at a point of potential. You know, there's so many possibilities of people bringing this community up, raising the bar. I just hope that I can work together with the people you mentioned and tons of players to make this a better place for everyone. So thank you so much for the support. It means a lot. It really does. Bastian Grigerson 6957 says, obviously more thorough calculation of a position is really helpful when placing your starting settles and roads. At what point in your Catan journey did you start to get that instinctive feeling for what is right and what isn't when choosing those? Assuming you use your instincts in quotations. Often I struggle with seeing what is better between two similar spots. I actually, let me say no to the bot here, to respect the computer. I actually really love this question because a lot of Catan to me at this point is instinctual. What's interesting about that to me is it allows me to just kind of have a free-flowing spirit of the game, but in some ways it's also made me a little bit lazy, to be honest with you. Right? Like sometimes there are times when I should be sitting into a position a little bit more and really understanding what are the potential hands, tracking better. I've become lazy in a way because my instincts have kind of allowed it to happen. Like I can get away with it. I would say for me, it took me a good year to get to that place. I mean, the reality is it's all a function of just recognizing patterns and playing games. I can't think of it, okay, yeah, but he's just dropping a road. So at this point, I think we can block this successfully. I think I get a brick here. An ore's fine. And then let's put this here. And then, like I said to you guys, remember we came in with this plan. So now what we could do is we could road settle city, or we can keep popping until we feel pretty content with ourselves. We're just in a killer position. Life's good here. Yeah, it took me about a good year. And I think the instinctual parts really started to kick off for me when I started to play in voice chat. There's one thing in terms of your development playing ranked. There's a whole nother thing when you are playing with people speaking to you. It feels really in your face. It's aggressive in a fun, exciting way. I would recommend finding ways to play in person or play with voice, and that will really accelerate your potential game, which is why I love sharing these tournament videos like what you've been seeing over the last few weeks. And as you can see, the hold that I have on those games and the way I feel those games, it's just night and day. It's to me, I don't think about it. It just happens. There's an instinct to playing those games because that's where I spent my time in my early days. So hopefully that makes sense there for you. Pete Campbell, tracking resources so hard, any secrets? I've hit on this quite a bit. The progressive aspect of tracking, I think it's pretty crucial. I think it's really helpful. And also like track with intention. If you're looking for a specific card, like for instance, what's a good card for us to track in this position? Wood. Absolutely would. So I would probably have an eye to say, okay, how many wood or how much wood is on the board? And I could just focus on tracking that because that's the resource I don't produce. There's no wood here. Let's see if anybody wants Z-wood, or the brick, excuse me, for Z-wood. Also, what we can do is we can just drop a road, call it a day. Don't have to overthink it here. Let's do that. Clears our hand. And then any of these rolls are just monstrous here for us. Pete, thank you. And I've noticed your support over this channel. Really appreciated. I think we're losing the grip here. We're losing some people in the process, unfortunately, but that is what it is, guys. Unfortunate. All right. I noticed you, and more so DyLighted, throw out a lot of trades trying to get more value for your cards. By the way, this is coming from SamercamYT. Getting more value for cards when someone asks for a resource. Is there a method to when it's appropriate/smart to ask for more? Okay. Additionally, is there any way you found to ask for more that meets less resistance, a way you phrase it or make it seem fair? This is a good question, by the way. Hold on. Should we just rip? Maybe we should just take the sheep off the board. This is fine with me, because the thing is, it gives us both the settle and a pop here. So let's take this, and then what we do is we can actually just port. Actually, do we just port here? Yeah. That's fine. And then we more or less just have a few different ways to kind of wrap this up. Crazy. You know, I probably, and this is funny, it goes back to that whole premise of maybe I'm a little too instinctual, like I get a little bit lazy sometimes. I find generally in ranked games, I can get away with 2-for-1s all the time. Like I almost do it out of habit if you watch a lot of my games. I would recommend if you find that you stick to 1-to-1s and you're like, you don't get what you need, I would just recommend just trying to ask for 2 cards. Like, what's the worst that could happen? So I think really playing that way has just been a function of experimentation and trying to get a feel for what's too much or what's too little. Generally, one way that you can improve your trades, and it's a little bit more difficult in ranked because generally you're typing and typing might not translate as well. But what you could do is you could say to somebody, if they're asking for a specific card, ask yourself, why are they asking for that trade? You could say, hey, this is going to help you build a city, right? Or this is going to help you settle, right? And then you can ask for 2. And what happens is it frames the conversation or the trade in a way that's useful for them versus them just seeing that, oh, I'm giving up 2 cards here to Drew. This is what frame control is all about. So yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with how you frame. Let's go put it over here. I mean, he's really our only threat. My God. Don't we just have the road settle here? We do. Oh, I'm crazy. And then we'll just wrap it up with the city. Perfect. A lot of it is framing. You got to think the idea of value is a perception to people, and your ability to communicate effectively with people allows you to change that perception of value in their eyes. People say like, Drew, how do you get away with so much? Like, or, you know, why do people trade you this or that or whatever? Well, it's because I'm very strong at communicating in framing things in a perspective that makes sense. I am able to help influence that perception of value in my opponent's eyes. This is why when people take responsibility for their game, they're able to really have a lot more pull and influence than they really think. And this is why I love Catan. It has this element of, if you are good at the game and you take responsibility for that, there's so much more you're able to do. I love that. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a philosophical idea and some things to consider as you're getting better at the game. Thank you very much, SamerCam YouTube. Appreciate you being here. Really, really do. Guys, this is kind of a wild game. We are just going at it here, and we got no cards. Come back, K Hicks. Come back. I got no cards. I've got no problems either while I'm at it. All right. Next question goes, Wild Loot Prodigy 4710. Do you think being great at in-person Catan always translates one-to-one to being great online? Or is it more like comparing bullet chess versus standard chess? That's a great question. I think it does. I think Catan has a lot of, by the way, more or less, we're just waiting for our rolls at this point, but they're not. It's been kind of quiet. I guess we need some 6s and 4s, and 4s have almost been non-existent. I think in-person online have a lot of translatable skills, though it becomes a lot more apparent to me when you're playing over voice chat, because that's really one of the big factors about playing in person is you're there. It's physical. It's in your face. It's real. You get to talk to people that are right there in front of you. You can't avoid it. And if someone asks you a question, it's not like you can just sit there quietly in your underwear. Like, you have to kind of face the facts. Okay, well, that's something there. We need to start getting some rolls in. The more you get used to playing, let's say, with voice chat or playing the leagues or the Discords or the tournaments, that in-person skills will transfer and vice versa. I mean, I played my first qualifiers after about 6 or 7 months of playing online, but I would have done anywhere as well if I didn't have that experience online. I think it's very much they're in the same camp at this point. Damn it. I think it's fair at this point to port for an ore. Ore is always going to be good for us, especially if we get something like a 6. Damn, we needed that. Yeah, thank you for the question, though. I really think that's a great question, and I hope more people, as this game evolves, will start playing, in over the board and work that angle there. So, man, we're crushing it, aren't we? This is maybe not the most exciting game of Catan you've ever seen, but hey, it's something, right? Let's get a 6 and wrap this up. Jeez Louise, we're not there, right? That's 3 cards. Damn, we're a card off. All right, we'll just keep pulling until we win. Road builder. Okay, so let's do this. We practically win, so let's just pass here. We'll win with the road builder. That's fine with me. All right, the next question here is by Mateus Bolden, 1409. What do you think is the best starting position in Catan, going from 1 to 4, and why? Ooh, that looks good to me. Also, sometimes when I'm in 4th, I see 3 great spots and go, I know this is going to be a difficult game, which I likely won't win. Hey, that's not a good mindset. Have you ever... Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. Oh, keep at least 1 sheet. We got to pop there. Man, we got to get something here to finish this game. Have you ever experienced such situations? How do you deal with them? And do you have any tips to edge out a victory in each case? Okay, so let's kind of work that question backwards a little bit. You phrase it, I know this is going to be a difficult game, which I likely won't win. Why? I mean, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you, but you have to understand you're already kind of admitting defeat in that case. Frankly, why can't you win the game? Now, does that mean you will win the game? Doesn't necessarily. But I think you've got to go into it realizing that if you're a good player and you have abilities and you know that you can make boards work, then you got to trust that skill is going to be there. So I never... Man, this is brutal. Jeez. All right. Come on, cards. There we go. There we go. I lose this game, then kudos. Okay, 1-6 we win. So I think there's something to be said about your mindset and knowing that, look, games can be difficult, but you're a good player. I never feel out no matter how bad my position is. I've been in enough situations to know that I'm able to come back and win. By the way, we have no VPs. This is crazy. Come on, 6. Okay, it's just got to go on our boy here. We actually don't have a hand here. This is ridiculous. It's actually stupidly close, though. If we could, let's just let it ride. There we go. Jeez Louise. All right, so that's the first thing I would say is, like, you got to look at your mindset and know that you can do it. Like, don't ever go into a game like that. Secondly, as far as the best starting positions, I don't think about it too much. I mean, I think creativity-wise, 3 and 4 have the most ability to kind of pair and really get creative. Ultimately, it's going to come down to your ability to calculate boards consistently. I don't really think at a certain level, like at the beginning stages or even like intermediate stages, there's such thing as best. Even the stats, if you look at the information, a lot of the times it really comes down to like percentages. If you look at how many times first, second, third, and fourth win, it's so close, it doesn't really even matter. Jeez. All right. Is there any way we can hold a settle here? Like almost a perfect settle? Oh, okay. No, they have to steal the brick here. Oh my God, we did it. We did it. That was probably a poor my part, but okay. All right. Good. Let's go wrap this game up, guys. I have no clue what that was, but it was something, huh? Going to your question there, Mateus, depending on where you're at, don't worry about it too much. And also just know, like, a good game is always an opportunity for you to get better. A tough game is always an opportunity for you to get better. And that's how I take it. You know, I might get frustrated sometimes. And as far as you also mentioned any tips to edge out a victory in such cases, it all comes down to playing your best game. I'm a fighter. That's the one thing that when I have tough games, and you guys know this, I fight to the end. That mentality of never giving up on trades, never giving up on potential plays, being like in it to win it, that's won me more games than anything else. Like there's no like, oh, you have to drop a road and do a twist and press up, down, left, right, cheat codes to win the game. Never giving up and knowing that there's probably always a chance. That's not me trying to be motivational to you, but it's just the reality of the case. Like if you give up and you think you've lost, then you've probably lost. If you keep fighting and you believe there's a chance, then guess what? There's probably a chance. Next question, I'll answer one more, and then what we'll do is we'll review the board, wrap it up. That was an interesting game. What can I say? Probably not the most fun game for you, but the position was just too good not to enjoy, that's for sure. All right, last question here comes from Jaren of 8003. Hey, Dandy, thanks for the fun and informative content you've been putting out. I have 3 questions. 3 questions, brother? I asked for 1 question. Okay, 3 questions for you that I find hard evaluating my games. How many settles is optimal for a good OWS game? Great question. I would say typically most optimal is 4 settles. What we have here is technically 5, but I would say if you can get your 2 original settles plus the 2 there, to me, that's very optimal. It's good here that we have a lot of brick and the brick is flexible, but in most cases, you don't have this road building flexibility like we do. So I would say aim for your 2 initial settles, then plus 2 more. That is what I recommend as an optimal OWS game. When is it worth to extend towards a 2-for-1 port when you already have a 3-for-1 port? Well, I usually go for, unless my game absolutely needs a 2-for-1 port, I almost always go for the 3-for-1 first. It also depends on if I'm racing somebody for a certain port or not. I would say 3-for-1s first, and if the 2-for-1 is absolutely necessary, then make that your priority. My kind of general rule is if 60% of my production or so is wrapped up in a certain resource, then I'll probably go to a port. Otherwise, the 3-for-1 probably makes the most sense. How much do you value access to a 3-for-1 port? A 3-for-1 port in your starting positions. Parentheses, I sometimes seem to undervalue and get stuck at 1 or 2 points from the win. I have to 4-for-1 for the win sometimes. And there's also asking for tips for pacing. By the way, that's 4 questions, brother. I really value 3-for-1 ports. I absolutely love 3-for-1s. And it kind of just alluded to it earlier. You know, unless I have most of my production wrapped up in a 2-for-1 resource, one particular resource, then I'll go for the 3-for-1 most of the time. So I think general flexibility is always good. I think that's just more of a personal observation as I've played this game. I like you're asking about ports because ports are a critical part to winning Catan. It's not that we don't win this game, but it becomes a lot more difficult if we can't 2-for-1 that we eat that brick, as an example. And to just kind of piggyback and finish what you're saying there, I would also recommend have a plan, right? We went into this game. We said, okay, you know what we're going to do? We're going to get the city, settle, and then figure it out from there. Our final 2 points. Well, guess what? We ended up pulling the right devs and also having the right cards to get the road settle here and then the road builder here. But I already knew 80% of my points. I already knew it. I knew exactly what I was going to do because that's what the position gave me. Having that plan, absolutely critical, and that's something I want everyone here to focus on. We got through quite a few questions. I appreciate you there at home. Thank you so much. We are gunning almost for 7,000 subs. Absolutely crazy. Then let's quickly review this game. We got the nuts here. Not going to lie. You're probably not going to learn anything from this game, but that's okay. This is not what that's about. You know, it's Dandy After Dark. We're here to answer your questions, have a good time. Yeah, nuts. 693, 6411, wheat port, brick port, call today. I'm sorry. Maybe I shouldn't have plowed black. He's probably upset about that, and clearly he was. He left, but the trade was good. And unfortunately 7'd out. I probably, in most cases, by the way, I probably wouldn't have traded red there for that just because it does make him quite strong with his 8s. knowing my opponents in an unranked game, I think I could get away with it most of the time. All right, everyone, thank you so much. This is episode 3, Dandy After Dark. Appreciate you being here. I want you to know your support, your comments, your time spent here, it doesn't go unnoticed. I'm doing my absolute best to be conscious of the feedback, and it's important that I want to keep improving this channel and to give you the best experience possible. So you being here, participating, I just want you to know I appreciate you. If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. You know what you need to do. Dandy is out. You have a great week. Get out of here.